Tucked beyond a tree line and a windbreak of spruce, a small farm stood apart from its neighbors. In late March of 1922, 6 people were killed there. Footprints appeared in the new snow, approaching the buildings, but none led away. In the weeks before, the family said they heard footsteps in the attic. A newspaper no one subscribed to appeared in the kitchen, and keys went missing. A new maid arrived the same day everything ended. The next morning, smoke still rose from the chimney. Cattle were watered. The barn door was latched. Someone stayed, or something did. It stands. Prince came in and did not go out. It stands. A key went missing. A Munich paper was present. The barn drew neighbors first. We keep to what stands, and use old stories only to hold the empty spaces between facts.
Old alpine stories say the forest keeps listeners, borrowers of voices, who learn a household by echoing it back. They tap doors with a known rhythm, mimic a cough, repeat a name, and move at the pace of snow. If a place slips from the village's attention, they claim it, not as owners, as keepers of silence. This is not proof. It is how people talk when facts won't finish the thought. When a detail is firm, I will say, it stands. When it is only what frightened neighbors told each other, I will say that too. We begin with the track in the snow and follow the days as they were lived.
Morning after a storm, a straight line of prints comes from the trees. Heel, toe, even spacing, no wandering. They stop at the rear of the house. It stands. Neighbors later saw the track and saw no track away. The farmer notes it. He has animals waiting. He decides to deal with it after feeding. The day fills itself. Grain measures, water hauled, tools back on hooks. By evening, edges of the prints soften. The line still reads clear enough. He tells his daughter they'll speak to a neighbor tomorrow, and then he doesn't, because nothing else happens. Yet. One unaddressed thing waits for the next unaddressed thing, and together they make a path.
Days stack into a pattern. Footsteps are heard above the bedrooms at night. The spacing sounds like a person choosing where to place weight, then stopping. It stands. Members of the household reported sounds in the loft before the end. In the yard, a side gate that was usually closed is found open twice. No damage, only open. The family argues about it once, then works around it. People do that. The grandmother says it's the house settling. The daughter says houses don't cross rooms. Everyone sleeps anyway, until each person decides privately they are done sleeping through it. No one says this out loud. They just begin to listen.
A key that hung on a nail by the back door is not there. They look where they always drop things. Sill, apron drawer, cupboard. Nothing. A Munich paper is on the kitchen table that afternoon. No one in the family pays for that paper. It stands. The missing key was noted, and a newspaper no one subscribed to was present. A neighbor later saw it. The farmer decides to ask in town who left it. He doesn't go that day. There's still light and work to finish. The daughter tries the latch twice before bed. sets a stool under the handle, the kind of measure that works only if nothing serious is coming. They say goodnight and keep their thoughts to themselves.
A new maid arrives, same day the track matters most. She is shown her room. She notices the rope for the attic hatch, says nothing, unpacks. After dark, she hears weight cross the space above. 3 steps, a pause, another step. She asks if someone is storing wood up there. They say no. She says she will not sleep in that room. They say there is work in the morning and no spare bed. It stands. A maid came and did not make it through the night as a maid in this house. She left that night or the next day. Accounts differ. The point is, she tried to refuse the room. She sits up and waits for morning. Eyes open, coat still on. Downstairs, the daughter keeps the stove alive longer than usual, not for comfort, only to give herself something to do.
Friday runs long, chores stacked on chores. A line in the snow is still there, shorter by wind, but there. The farmer decides to check the barn after supper because he thinks he heard a board shift when he passed. He doesn't want to alarm anyone, so he goes alone, tells himself it's the wind, tells himself a chain slipped a link. It stands. The first bodies were discovered in the barn by neighbors the next day. The order of who went first is uncertain. The effect is not. They were led one by one. We will not list what was in the barn in detail. We will keep to the sequence that makes sense of the night. Someone drew them there, most likely by sound, once, then again, until there were no voices left to call for help. The house went quiet, but work did not stop.
The barn is where a person can wait and not be seen. A simple method works if you have time. Make a sound, let concern bring the next person. Repeat. It stands. The bodies were found in the barn in a group, as if each followed the last. No special device is needed for that. Only the expectation that someone will answer a noise from animals or tools. Outside, the yard shows no fight. Inside, the order of the place is wrong in only small ways. Enough to tell you a stranger's routine was laid over the real one. When the last person who would come has come, the stranger finishes what the night requires, and then continues the day as if it still belongs to the house.
It stands. Smoke rose from the chimney the next morning. It stands. Cattle were watered. The barn door was latched. This means someone stayed for hours, maybe through a night. The work is basic, enough to keep animals from breaking stalls, enough to keep the stove from going out. That kind of work requires no affection for the place, only the wish to remain unseen. There is no message left, only routine continued without the people who knew why each step mattered. And then nothing, for a day. By the time concern becomes action, the imitation has already ended.
After discovery, a town fills the gap with names. A traveler who quarreled with someone last winter. A cousin with a debt. a laborer seen once near the lane. It stands, no charge held, no final name stayed on the page. People build lines on maps with pins and string. They walk those lines with talk. Morning names become evening names, become tomorrow's names. The priest writes carefully. The constable measures prints. The neighbors stand at the gate and speak too much, or not at all. Every man hears how his own habits might be learned by someone patient enough to watch, and that thought keeps him awake more than any rumor.
Before the end, steps in the loft marked a path. It stands. People in the house heard movement above more than once. Someone learned this attic by counting boards that complain and boards that stay quiet. From the hatch, 3 slow steps to the rafter, pause, 3 back, pause, then none. That is how you study a house you do not own, slowly, until its noises feel like your own. The map is not on paper, it is in a body. Which plank to avoid, where to wait, how long to listen before moving. That knowledge is the only tool you need if you plan to continue someone else's routine without being seen.
It stands. A key went missing before the end. A door that needs lifting to catch is the kind of habit you show a friend without thinking. If someone watches long enough, they learn it without being shown. Lift, then pull, set. No plan larger than patience is needed. No special skill, only time near the fence or a day pretending to fix a hinge. This is the part that stays in the throat. How ordinary the entry could have been. You can change a habit after hearing this. Move a key, change a latch, tell a neighbor more than you think they need. Small corrections are louder than locks. Sunday bells travel. Everyone hears them whether they attend or not. On Monday, the family does not appear where expected. It stands, neighbors moved from worry to certainty, to work. Someone keeps children outside. Someone fetches rope and boards. Someone stands guard at the doorway, because standing guard is a task that keeps the hands steady. By evening, there is a list of things done, and a longer list of things that will never be answered. Smoke no longer rises. The imitation is over. The fact remains. The cart goes to town. The room fills with statements. It stands. Maps with pins and string were used. Suspects named. No case held. One man swears he saw a stranger 2 nights before. Another says the lane was empty. A woman remembers a sound and then decides she is misremembering. The farther a person lives from the farm, the clearer their theory becomes.
The closer they live, the less they say. By the end of the week, the talk has a rhythm of its own. It repeats without producing anything that stands.
The house empties, not at once, over time. Boards are lifted for inspection. Tools are catalogued. Nothing decisive is found. It stands. The case remained unsolved. The yard remembers only what is done to it next. The birch thickens its ring for the year. The track in the snow is a sentence no one can finish. People come less often, then hardly at all, until only the story returns, carried by anyone new to the lane who asks what happened here. The answer is a list: prints, key, paper, attic steps, barn, smoke, chores, no arrest. Facts in order, without a reason to tie them.
We end at the field beyond the birch. From here, the farm is only shapes: roof, wall, lane. It stands. No final answer came. Old Alpine stories say the forest keeps listeners, borrowers of voices. We keep that only as a way to speak when facts fall short. What you can do after hearing this: change one habit, move one key, tell one neighbor, and sleep if you can. If not, I'll stay. Count the steps across the loft. 1. Pause. 2. Pause. 3. Good night.